Hi guys, it's Nicolette again. So I want to deal with a little bit with property because I get asked a lot of questions on property, how to buy property, what to buy, what to look out for, and basically the process, because most of us as black people, we've never gone through that process because our parents didn't go through it. So you might be the first person in your entire family to actually buy a house. So sometimes it comes across as quite overwhelming, and if you don't know what you are doing, you're most likely going to make small mistakes, and sometimes those small mistakes can actually cost you a lot of money. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about the OTP because we've covered the OTP various times. If you still don't understand it, please hit me up on my email address and I can try and see how best I can explain the offer to purchase to you. But for me, really, the process of buying a house and actually moving in or actually getting it rented out is consistent of 6 steps, right? So first of all, it's getting your money together and getting your affordability and all that stuff ready and understanding how much money it is that you're going to be needing for you to be able to buy this house. The second thing is probably the second step in the process is you going out there now and going house hunting and finding the right property for you to buy, either as a property for you to live in or an investment property. And then the third thing is actually putting together the deal and getting and your OTP signed and putting in the offer that you want to put in, getting all your documents ready. Then obviously it's the home loan process, putting your home loan in. That's of course if you are buying through a home loan, which is either financed by a banking institution or other financial institutions. And then the fifth step basically is understanding the legal stuff. What do you need to actually understand legally? What is binding? What do you need to pay? Who do you need to be speaking to? And then lastly is your moving tips, and that really kind of brings your entire process in a full circle, and you started from getting your affordability right and up to you either moving in or getting your tenant. And that is really for me what the buying process is. Let's deal specifically with the process of actually getting your money together. So really what is important for you first and foremost is to sort out your credit issues, right? You need to, number one, if you're going to go on a home loan and you're going to ask for a bank or financial institution to fund you, you need to make sure that you've got the right amount of money, right? Other than that, you need to be a person who is attractive for credit. So basically when we say you become attractive for credit is that you need either to have a credit history, and a credit history basically is it's almost like a report. You know what you used to get when you were at school and they give you a final report to say, Guti, hi, you've done really well in English, you've done whatever. It's the same thing when it comes to a credit report, and you get these you can get these once off a year for free from either one of the credit bureaus, either Experian, TransUnion, Kudo, whoever it is that is actually offering that service. So basically what it means is that you need to have a credit score. And for you to be able to get a credit score, you need to have some sort of credit history. So you must have had dikoloto, or basically the government says, or actually, the system says, you need to have had some sort of debt so that you can indicate to us how you manage your debt commitments, because that's basically what your report is going to show. It's going to show, okay, Nicolette had a skoloto with the Red Square company, and with the Red Square company, she was paying as she had promised to pay every single month, the minimum monthly installment, and up to the point where she actually finished, or she's still maintaining her debt as best as possible, and she pays. She's never in arrears, she's never late with her payments, and there's never actually like some sort of the debit order bouncing in her bank. So that's basically what it is. And for you to be able to get this, if you do not have a credit history, I always suggest, like one of my friends, Mikhail Moyo, what he does is that when he started building his credit history, he went to a Markham's shop and literally got a credit, 6 months interest free, bought himself some underwear and socks with that credit, and literally paid it off as quickly as possible as per the agreement. So basically he stuck to the initial minimum payment and he paid it, and basically when he finished it, this indicated to the guys that offer you some sort of credit that you actually are good at managing your credit. Now it's important, I always say that you need to, obviously, when you're making a decision to buy property, make it 12 months in advance. So in 12 months, you can work on your credit so that it doesn't hit you by surprise, if that actually makes any sense. And also, if you do come into money and you would like to settle some of your accounts, really find out from the financial institutions what it would mean for you to finally settle this account, what impact it will have on your credit record and your credit scoring. It's very important that every single person in this country knows what their credit record is, knows what their credit scores is, because then you can work on it if it is not reflecting reflecting you as a person in the best possible way for you to go and acquire that good debt that we talk about when you're going out to get a home loan loan. So it's very important that you need to know what your credit score is. But more importantly, it's very important to know and understand that you need to be paying the way you have committed to pay at every single data that you have signed a debt contract with. That is really absolutely important. And also for me, the other important thing is really to have a deposit. Basically what a deposit does for you, number one, it puts you in good standing, because it means that you're not really going to the bank and asking for 100% home loan or any financial institutions. Number two, or number three, I can't count, guys. I got an E for math, so please excuse me. But I was on higher grade, so that should count for something. So basically what the deposit really does for you, it makes you look attractive to the bank. Number one, because you're not asking them for 100%. It means you're also putting in some of your money that you have saved. But also what a deposit can really do for you is that what it does is that it lessens the amount of money you would have borrowed from the bank. So it means that for that portion of the money, you're not actually going to be paying any interest because you're not borrowing it from the bank. It's money that you have saved yourself. Also, the seller has some sort of confidence in you if you've got a deposit, right? Now, the other thing that I always say is while you're saving for that deposit, also keep in mind, we'll talk about this a bit later, it's the legal fees that you're going to pay for this property, to now be transferred into your name or transferred into the bank's name, but basically moving it from seller into buyer's name, right? It's very important that you keep those costs also at the back of your head because they might come in. And we also spoke about sometimes earlier on in the year, we talk about what happens if the bank is only willing to give you a portion of the amount that you need, but you've already signed the OTP to say that you will have that amount. So you also need to keep in mind of that shortfall that might come up. And it's very important that, as I say, when you are going to be saving, for a home loan, really think about it. Or when you are actually thinking of buying, rather start the process 12 months in advance so that you don't get hit by unnecessary costs that you might not have thought of. Another cost that might come up is a cost called occupational rent, which basically means that if the transfer does not go through before the occupation date, it means that you would need to pay the actual seller some sort of occupational rent. So those are some of the things that you really need to be thinking about. Then you need to assess your affordability, and how I use a strategy where I use 1% of the total cost of the house. So for instance, if I go out and I look for a house of 700,000, I know for a fact that my installment is going to be somewhere around the margins of 7%, obviously depending on your credit score, because what banks do when they give you the interest rate that they charge you on that loan, they look at your credit rating, they look at your affordability, and most of the time the Credit Act in this country traditionally said that they should not give you a home loan of more than 30% of your annual payment. So basically they look at how much you earn and they say 30% of your salary should go to servicing your home loan. Basically, that's how they used to do it. Banks obviously have different ways in which they assess people on risk, they assess people on affordability, and quite a lot of other things that they look at. So it's very important that you also think of those things. And when you are putting together, this home loan application, which is also going to be discussed later, you also keep that at the back of your head. But banks, financial institutions have made it so much easier for us. Basically, there are calculators that you can use. There are two calculators that you can use. You can either use the affordability calculator, and this will basically say input all your income and then input all your debts, and don't cheat the system, because you really are cheating yourself. Some people like to cheat the system and they think they're clever, like the bank will pick it up. And besides, even if the bank doesn't pick it up, you're cheating yourself, basically. So put in the correct dates, put in all your contractual debts. Sometimes I even overestimate my debt so that I can be given a realistic affordability, right? And that is just an estimate. Keep all that also at the back of your mind. The second calculator that you can use is your installment calculator. So you can say, okay, this is how much I earn. Then you can calculate how much the installment that you can afford, or you can say, this is how much the house that I'm looking for, this is the kind of the price range, how much will my installment be? It's quite important that you look at those things. Affordability is actually absolutely important, guys, for you when you're looking to buy a house. And also remember that if the affordability calculator pushes out and says, look, you can afford R1 million, the bank says you can afford R1 million, it does not mean you have to use the entire R1 million. But I appeal to you, please stop using all the money that the bank is willing to give you, because if you can find a house that's 700,000 rand, rather buy the property at 700,000 rand as opposed to you trying to buy a property at R1 million, because a house does come with quite a lot of unforeseen circumstances. Things like levies and rates need to be paid, so you need to keep in mind on top of that, bond repayment every single month, you also need to keep in mind the fact that there are levies and rates that you might need to pay. Things like, in home insurance, you need to have a property insurance. I always say, imagine your house is on the middle floor or the top floor. You've bought yourself a nice loft. Your geyser bursts. It leaks into your house, leaks into all the people under below you. You are going to be liable to pay for those people, because anything that happens within the house is for your cost. And everything, especially if you're buying sectional title, everything that's outside of the house is obviously estate managed. So it's very important that you keep all those hidden costs at the back of your head, because they might come and bite you. Do follow me on my Facebook page. It is Financial Literacy with Nicolette Mashile for more tips on how to buy property and actually any other money management skills. And if you are on Twitter and Instagram, I'm also right there. It's Nicolette Mashile. On Twitter, I'm at Coco Mash. Follow me. I've also got a YouTube channel. It is Nicolette Mashile. Let's get our people to a point where they are financially savvy. Number one, they've got the advantage of knowing in terms of making financial decisions. But third and foremost, the most important thing, let's get this financial freedom. Let's be on our way towards financial journeys. Mwah!